Welcome to AI on the Block, featuring Max Ledger and Allison Hashwell, presented by Evolve Blockchain.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are really jumping into something fascinating, the world of crypto innovation. It's exciting, no doubt, but let's be honest, it can be pretty chaotic too.
Definitely. Especially if you remember the early days.
Exactly. Thinking back to those early token sales,
Yeah.
it really felt like the Wild West, didn't it? You had all this potential, this buzz, but the risks for anyone wanting to actually invest, they were huge.
Oh, absolutely. It felt like pure speculation sometimes. You were just, crossing your fingers.
Hoping for the best, yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of projects back then, well, they didn't quite live up to the hype. More mirage than the solid ground, sadly.
That's putting it mildly. If you look back, especially around the big ICO boom, say 2017, the data is pretty stark. Some studies suggested something like 80% of those initial coin offerings were identified as scams, or they just fizzled out, failed completely.
80%, wow.
Yeah, it was a massive number. And it sent a really clear message, the whole space, this new ecosystem, it urgently needed to mature. It needed structure, some professionalism, basically ways to protect people getting involved.
Which brings us neatly to our main topic today, crypto launchpads. They really emerged as the answer, didn't they? Kind of the crucial infrastructure stepping in to professionalize these early stage investments.
That's right. They filled a major gap.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to unpack how these platforms work, how they offer a more secure, more structured path for new crypto projects, and crucially, how they help with things like regulatory adherence and, most importantly for you listening, how they significantly cut down the risk.
And the impact has been genuinely remarkable. You mentioned that 80% failure or scam rate in the early ICO days.
Yeah, that's staggering figure.
Well, compare that to today's landscape with established launchpads. Now, the numbers are almost flipped. We're seeing estimates that around 80% of projects launching through reputable platforms are considered legitimate undertakings.
80% legitimate now versus 80% questionable then. That's an incredible turnaround.
It really is. It vividly shows the direct benefit, that tangible reduction in risk for anyone looking to get into this space now compared to before.
Okay, so that's the headline figure, an amazing flip. So let's get into the mechanics. How do launchpads actually do that? What are they doing behind the scenes to create this safer environment, this legitimacy that was so missing? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it really comes down to their operational processes, particularly the rigor they apply to project vetting and due diligence. It's not just a quick look anymore.
Right, not just reading the flashy website.
Exactly. Good launchpads have these multi-stage evaluation processes. They dig deep. They look at everything from the project team. Who are these people? Do they have the right background, the expertise? Can they actually deliver on their promises?
Checking the track, though.
Checking the track record, exactly. Then there's the technical side, is the infrastructure sound. Does the technology make sense? And critically, they scrutinize the tokenomics.
Tokenomics, okay, break that down a bit.
Yep.
That's about the coin or token itself.
Yeah, it's the economic design behind the token. How does it work? What are the incentives? Is it designed for sustainable growth, or is it just, smoke and mirrors? Vetting tokenomics is actually quite complex.
I bet. It sounds like you need real financial and market understanding.
You do. It requires a deep dive into market dynamics, potential inflation, how value accrues, things like that. This is where the launchpad analysts really earn their keep. They provide that layer of specialized expertise that, frankly, most individual investors just don't have the time or maybe the background to do themselves.
So it's less about just finding cool new ideas, though, that's part of it, and more about this really intensive investigation into whether a project is actually solid, sustainable, has a real shot of making it.
Precisely.
That must take a huge burden off individual investors, right? Doing all that homework yourself would be, well, almost impossible for most people.
It really does. It cuts down massively on the legwork and the inherent risk of just jumping into something unknown.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second, though. If launchpads are acting as these strong gatekeepers, vetting everything so strictly, is there a risk they might accidentally filter out something really groundbreaking, something truly innovative but maybe unconventional, something that doesn't fit the usual mold?
That's a really valid point. And it's a balancing act. Launchpads are constantly navigating. They are gatekeepers, yes, but the good ones aim to foster innovation while still prioritizing investor protection.
How do they manage that balance?
Well, often through things like diverse evaluation committees, maybe bringing in different kinds of expertise. Some also use tiered systems, perhaps allowing for projects with different risk profiles or levels of innovation, but always ensuring there's a baseline of fundamental integrity and transparency.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all filter.
Ideally, no. But for you, the investor, the primary function is clear. This rigorous initial filtering acts as a significant shield. It protects you from outright scams and just, low-quality projects that are likely to fail anyway. That translates directly to reduced consumer risk.
And it adds credibility too, I imagine.
Immense credibility. Getting accepted onto a well-respected launchpad is like a stamp of approval. It signals to the market that the project has passed serious scrutiny, which builds trust.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense on the project quality side. But let's shift gears slightly. What about the regulatory aspect? This has always been a huge challenge, kind of a gray area in the crypto world. How do launchpads help navigate that minefield?
This is actually becoming one of their most critical roles, especially now. Many of the leading launchpads are themselves operating as regulated or semi-regulated entities. They often have legal teams or consultants specifically to navigate the incredibly complex web of global crypto regulations.
Which vary wildly from country to country.
Exactly. So part of their due diligence now explicitly includes checking for jurisdiction-specific regulatory requirements. They work to ensure that the projects they launch are aware of, and ideally compliant with, the relevant legal frameworks right from the start.
So they're almost like compliance advisors too.
In a way, yes. They might help projects figure out how their token should be legally categorized, which can be very tricky. Or they might connect projects with legal experts who specialize in, say, U.S. securities law versus EU regulations versus rules in Asia. It's complex stuff.
And this is built into the launchpad process.
Increasingly, yes. And we're seeing trends pointing towards even increased regulatory clarity for launchpads themselves in the future. This means integrating more sophisticated compliance tools directly into their platforms. Think automated KYC/AML verification.
Okay, KYC/AML, know your customer, and anti-money laundering. Standard banking stuff, basically.
Precisely. These checks are essential for preventing illicit activities like money laundering or terrorist financing. By building these checks in, launchpads aren't just protecting themselves. They're actively promoting greater compliance across the whole blockchain ecosystem. It's a proactive stance.
Wow. So launchpads have evolved quite a bit then. They started maybe as just platforms for early access, but now they're building in these layers of vetting, credibility, and even regulatory compliance, creating a pathway that's much safer, much more informed.
That's exactly it. It's about providing early access opportunities, sure, the kind that used to be pretty much exclusive to venture capitalists or insiders.
Right, democratizing access a bit.
Yes, but doing it within a structured framework, one that significantly mitigates those high risks typically associated with very early stage investing. The goal is to offer a curated environment.
An environment where you, the investor, can potentially diversify your portfolio by adding exposure to innovative new projects.
Yeah.
But with more confidence than you could have had 5 years ago.
Absolutely. It allows you to participate in the potential future of innovation, but not blindly, with guardrails in place.
This has been incredibly illuminating. It really paints a picture of how launchpads aren't just a small feature anymore. They've become a really indispensable part of the whole blockchain ecosystem.
They truly have. They've brought a level of professionalism to a market that was, frankly, chaotic. They've built this much-needed layer of trust.
So looking ahead then, as these platforms keep evolving, maybe integrating even more advanced tech, AI for vetting perhaps, or navigating these regulatory landscapes as they become clearer, what do you see next? What new possibilities might open up?
That's the exciting question, isn't it? We could see more specialization, perhaps launchpads focusing on specific niches like DeFi or NFTs, maybe more cross-chain compatibility, making it easier to invest across different blockchains. Enhanced security protocols are almost a given.
And for the listener, what does that evolution mean for them?
It means potentially even safer, more transparent, and more accessible ways to engage with cutting-edge projects.
Which leads us to our final thought for you to consider. As launchpads continue to mature, pushing the boundaries with technology and clearer rules, what new opportunities will emerge for you to safely and effectively participate in shaping and benefiting from the next wave of blockchain innovation? Something to think about.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to join Max and Allison next episode as they dig deeper into the different facets of Evolve Blockchain. This has been AI on the Block.